What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Sounds of the Monorail podcast. My name's Kyle Paxton. Casting alongside me is my twin brother, Derek Paxton.
Yo, what up?
Today, we got a ton of news to cover. Like a lot. I think more than we've ever had.
Yeah, most of the episode's probably going to be news.
Yeah. And then afterwards, we are going to do our top 5 storylines for different Disney attractions. So, super stoked about it.
Yeah. Was that a pretty easy list for you to come up with? Or
some of them were easy, and some of them I kind of was like, I don't know if I.
It was kind of funny because I also made a top 5 worst, just kind of for fun. I'm not going to mention that. We'll maybe do that in another episode. But just for fun, I did a top 5 worst, and it was like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah,
like immediately knew what my least favorite rides were in terms of like story goes. My favorites were, it was a little tougher, but for the most part, I got it. I had an idea of what I was going to pick.
Yeah, for me, there was like one that stood out above the rest, and then I've been like researching another one, so that one was interesting for me to put on it. And then the others were just kind of like, well,
I gotcha.
I like them, so.
For sure.
But let's jump into the news. Let's get this over with here. So we're going to kind of separate it into different categories. So we're going to have a general news list, a Disneyland news list, and a Disney World news list, just because there's so much of it right now. So for our first news topic in the general section, we're going to have Cameron Boyce dies at 20. For those of you that don't know, Cameron Boyce is the voice of Jake in Jake and the Neverland Pirates, and he is also Carlos in The Descendants.
Yeah, he was also in that one show, Jesse, I think it was called. I never watched that show, so I'm not sure what character he was. I saw a picture of it, but I didn't know he was the voice of Jake either.
Yeah, I didn't either. And
that's crazy.
I just recently learned that, so
yeah,
it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's a bummer, dude. I mean, 20 is always just way too soon. So
it really is. I mean, I've heard he's a really good kid, and
yeah,
done a lot of good things. So it's a bummer. We probably won't stay on the topic too long, but I guess he just had some type of ongoing medical conditions, and he died of a seizure. That's about all we know. But yeah, super sad. Condolences with the family. Hopefully they can move on.
Right.
But yeah, let's go ahead and jump to the next thing.
Let's talk about something happy.
Yeah, maybe something a little more Disney, something happy.
Yeah.
So now we're going to basically talk about Star Wars. This next, 30 minutes is probably going to be a lot about Galaxy's Edge and Star Wars. So
yep.
Just warning you guys.
A new Stormtrooper design was announced the other day. It is called the Sith Trooper, and it is just looks like a normal First Order Stormtrooper, just in red armor, as opposed to the typical white. Do you have any opinions on it right away? As far as how it looks, or any thoughts?
So when this was announced, I immediately thought of something you said before. You were talking about this with Spider-Man, how every new movie he needs a new suit, or whatever, because he needs to sell toys. And now I just can't stop thinking about that.
Welcome to my world.
So immediately when this was announced, I'm like, okay, so that's a toy seller, and makes sense. But I kind of think it looks pretty safe.
Yeah.
I wish they would have done something a little more unique, just making a, Phasma was just a silver stormtrooper, and it was fine because it was kind of the first different colored stormtrooper.
Right.
But now we're just having different colored stormtroopers everywhere with the Sith Trooper. Curious what it's gonna be, why it's called the Sith Trooper, or do they have force powers, or or what?
I don't know. I mean, as far as going back to the toy thing you mentioned, every Star Wars movie that comes out, you can see a design and be like, they made that for making a toy in mind, the Force Awakens, of course, had all the new design stormtroopers. The Last Jedi had all sorts of different forms of stormtroopers and different divisions. All of a sudden, Solo had range troopers. Rogue One had death troopers. This movie has Sith troopers.
Yeah.
Last Jedi had those Praetorian guards. Those are really just for selling toys. So that's just kind of a thing they do. That's just a Star Wars thing. Ever since Return of the Jedi, people speculate the reason why they had Ewoks in Return of the Jedi. The original script had Wookiees, like Chewbacca, but they felt they could do a different species, something cuter for the kids to buy toys.
Yeah.
So like, that's just a Star Wars thing, is just selling merchandise, and that's part of the reason Disney bought the franchise, is because that's how it makes most of its money. And that's kind of the same thing with Spider-Man, where, yeah, like every movie he's going to have a new suit because they want to sell a new toy. If he's just in the same suit every movie, they're not going to sell that toy again.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I mean, it makes sense. Like,
Right.
And like the Death Troopers or whatever, they looked cool.
Yeah.
I like that they sounded weird.
I mean, I actually don't mind them making new designs, because it would be boring if they just had the same design every time.
Yeah.
And it brings more character and life into this universe, and, you know, does world building, which I like. Unfortunately, something you mentioned earlier, I do believe this design is very safe. They could have done something crazier. Before Disney bought Star Wars, we already had something called Sith Troopers. We had several forms of different Sith Troopers, and they weren't just recolored stormtroopers. They were very clearly well designed and different and unique. You know, like you didn't see them and think, oh, it's a stormtrooper. It was like,
which ones are the Sith Troopers?
This is mostly in the Old Republic, back when like the Sith were like in power or whatever, and they had all sorts of Sith Troopers that were you know, they were actually in armor and stuff, but they didn't just look like stormtroopers like this one does. And then going into the name, I don't really understand why it's called the Sith Trooper when the Sith were supposed to be dead. Like, that was the point of episode 6. Like, the prophecy said Anakin would kill the last of the Sith and they'd be done. That's why Kylo Ren and Snoke aren't technically called Sith. They're just dudes with dark force powers or whatever. So like, that's obviously that's probably something going to be explained. We know Rise of Skywalker is going to have Palpatine again, who is a Sith. So does he have these Sith troopers all of a sudden? Like, I don't know. So we'll see. All I know is that the Sith are supposed to be dead, but they're just bringing them back because I guess they're running out. They can't make new ideas, I guess.
Yeah.
Sorry.
To be honest, when I see these Sith Troopers, I'm thinking they're not going to have any impact on the story whatsoever.
Oh, every single design is the same way. Every new character. Phasma didn't do anything.
The Death Troopers didn't really do
Praetorian
anything.
Guards didn't do anything.
Yeah, like
the Range Troopers didn't do anything.
The BB-8, evil BB-8 didn't do anything.
Yeah.
I was really excited for evil BB-8, and then he didn't do anything.
BB-9E. Yeah, he was also marketed, and he was selling toys, and he didn't do anything. That's how Dio is gonna be in Rise of Skywalker. As another droid, he's gonna be in a couple scenes. He's not gonna do anything. And I'm guessing, I'm predicting.
Yeah. Star Wars is in a weird place.
Yeah. With that said, I do like the new designs, because they do need to do something new every movie. Otherwise, why are they making movies? Like, half the reason I like Star Wars is it has so much world building going for it, and so many like designs that I can get behind. Unfortunately, most of the time, it's just those new designs don't impact the story very well. They're just new designs. So they're in like one scene, maybe, you know.
Yeah, no, I feel that. I don't know. Curious about it.
Yeah,
we'll see what happens with it.
Do you like how it looks though? Like, do you approve?
I don't know. It looks kind of boring.
Yeah, everyone's freaking out about it.
It's just a normal stormtrooper, right?
Yeah,
Did I miss something?
It has like special indentations and markings and stuff. Like, it gives it kind of a bit more style. Like, maybe we can put a picture up when later on the site or something.
Yeah, I'll throw one up.
But yeah, it's like it looks the same for the most part. It does. You can tell it's just a stormtrooper. It's not. It's just a recolored stormtrooper. Other than that, it's nothing too crazy.
Yeah, because the pictures I've seen, it just looks exactly like a stormtrooper, but it's red. So it's. I haven't seen too much.
I think it looks fine. It is just safe. Like, they could have done something clever and unique and something we hadn't seen before, but instead they decided just to recolor it red, which is frustrating.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it is.
Yeah.
My bets are that they don't do anything for the story.
No.
We'll check it out though. So the next topic we have is that the Star Wars Rise of the Resistance attraction had its opening dates announced.
Mm-hmm.
And
tell me where it's opening.
Walt Disney World first.
Yeah, suck it, Disneyland.
So this is super fascinating. So basically, Walt Disney World's Rise of the Resistance attraction is opening on December 5th, and in Disneyland it's opening January 17th. So quite a ways away, and it's just it's interesting because Galaxy's Edge opened in Disneyland already, and we're getting the full Galaxy's Edge first.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of
I'm not
weird.
really sure how that works, like how they're so behind. I mean, were they behind schedule in Disneyland? Were they just actively thinking, well, Disneyland got it, Galaxy's Edge first, let's give Rise of the Resistance first to Disney World? But that doesn't make sense. Why would they purposely handicap Disneyland like that, other than just to appease me?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting. I guess that just the way the construction happened.
I guess, yeah, I'm fine with it.
So it's fine. But I mean, leading off of that is the big kicker for this news section, and that's Galaxy's Edge crowds are super low.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no one there. And
yeah, it looks like Smuggler's Run is getting 30 to 60 minute wait times, which
Yeah.
a new e-ticket ride in a theme park should be like well over 2 hours for like the first few months of its opening.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, unless if it's like a really fast loading ride, which it could be, it's just a motion simulator, right? So like it's not a roller coaster. Those usually are pretty slow loading. So maybe part of it is just that it's really fast loading, but I also know the crowds are actually pretty low. So
Yeah, I mean, that's true, but it's like Flight of Passage is also, just a simulator in a way. And that still has crazy lines.
yeah, but I guess Flight of Passage, they all do it at the same. I don't really know how Smuggler's Run works. I haven't really looked into that a whole lot. But like things like Flight of Passage, they have to load up like however many, like a dozen or two different like loading bays at once, and they're all watching the same screen, kind of like Soarin'. Whereas something like Star Tours, the motion simulator, they got like, oh man, how many? They got like a dozen different like vehicles, but they all work independent of each other. They all don't need to run at the same time. If they needed to run at the same time, Star Tours would take a lot longer to load on, because you got to make sure every single vehicle is working right and loaded right and people are in their seats right. Whereas, something like Soarin' or Flight of Passage is like, it works all the same. So you got to be perfect in every single spot. So like I don't really know how Smuggler's Run works. Like, is it like, are all of their like ride simulators like independent of each other, like Star Tours?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so
That's
I don't know how they work it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's super interesting though to see how the attendance is so bad. I mean, I've heard that seasonal cast members are getting laid off there,
yeah.
which is just fascinating. If you Google Galaxy's Edge, it's just a bunch of articles saying how it failed. And
really, I haven't seen that.
Yeah.
People are actually saying it failed.
Yeah, because it's just when it first came out, you needed a reservation to get in, and I'm pretty sure it was pretty busy then. But now, ever since they lifted the reservations, it's just been like dead.
Well,
Nobody's
I think there's a lot of reasons for this. I think the biggest one is, or maybe not the biggest one, but one of the biggest reasons is that a lot of people are expecting big crowds. Like, a lot of families aren't gonna take their kids to this theme park if they think they're gonna have to wait 8 hours to ride this ride, or maybe not even get in. So they're just gonna be like, I guess I'll go next year. And so that could be a reason for the low crowds.
Yeah, I think there's like so many different things hitting this at the same time. Very similar to like the Solo movie.
Oh yeah, the Solo. I think Star Wars is kind of a weird place right now where it's very. Some people still love it. Some people are not biggest fans anymore. Like, they're not very happy in the direction that Disney is taking some of these movies and their stories and their merchandise and how they're doing these theme parks. And so all of a sudden you have a rift between all these fans with how they're making movies. So it's causing problems for everything.
I mean that's one of my big reasons for thinking this is doing as poorly as it is because you can't like attract Star Wars fans anymore. It's hard to be like, here's this Star Wars thing, come check it out, because you're only going to hit at at most a third of the fan base, because you have basically what I call the OG crowd, which is the ones that like Darth Vader and Yoda in the original trilogy. Then you have the sequel crowd, which is like The Force Awakens, and all that stuff. And then I say you have the kid crowd, which is more of like the Resistance and, you know, all the cartoons
the TV
and stuff.
shows, yeah.
Like that the new generation is watching. So like there are characters I have no idea who they are, because I haven't watched those before.
Right.
Like Hondo Onaka, he's one of the he's the main character in the Smuggler's Run attraction, but I don't know who that is.
And I do. I love the TV shows.
Yeah.
So I got stoked, but at the same time, I was like, you realize like 90% of people that like Star Wars don't know who Hondo Onaka is, right?
Yeah, because I'm a Star Wars fan. I've seen all the movies, you know, but I'm not like, I don't go read every comic. I've read one series, but like not or watch the TV shows. I'm not like that into the universe. So it's like, how into it do you need to be to relate to this stuff?
Yeah, I think what they're going for Hondo Onaka is that like they're introducing a new character for people coming to the Star Wars theme parks that don't know him. But for people that do know him, they'll get really excited. Like me, I got stoked because he's from the Clone Wars TV show, which is one of my favorite things, Star Wars. I love the Clone Wars TV show. And he's a great character in it. So I was stoked that they just got this like B-list character for their ride, because he's awesome.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've heard he's awesome and everybody loves him, but I don't think it's going to attract, you know, Jim, who's 60, grew up with the original trilogy.
Exactly.
The thing that's attracting them is the Millennium Falcon, right?
Yeah, exactly. No, they I think they put too many eggs into their sequel trilogy basket, because love it or hate it, it's controversial, you know?
Yeah.
Like whether you think the sequel trilogy is good so far or not, it's, you got to admit, it's pretty 50-50 on whether people like it. So I think they thought there was going to be a big seller, and instead they're losing half their audience. I think it would have worked out a lot better if they went, you know, the original trilogy direction. I mean, Batu, the planet that Galaxy's Edge is located on, is a brand new location created specifically for the theme parks. It has not been in any Star Wars material before. It is now, because when they announced Galaxy's Edge, they slowly started putting in references in comic books. They mention it by name in the book Star Wars Tarkin. They mention it by name. No, they don't mention it by name. They actually go to the planet in the book Thrawn Alliances, which is kind of cool, but it just seems like such a hard time. Why didn't they just make the planet Tatooine? Everyone knows Tatooine. We could have gone to Tatooine, see a Millennium Falcon, see a Han Solo animatronic.
See, yeah, I mean, they may reference it now, but like, I had no idea.
Exactly.
Right? Like,
yeah.
And other people won't either, so it's hard to relate to, I think.
Yeah,
but
exactly. So
I'm like sort of glad it's not Tatooine, because I feel like Tatooine's overused. But I do agree that would make it a lot easier to be. Yeah, to like relate to.
Yeah. What planet would you have chosen for them to do besides Tatooine?
No, maybe like Kashyyyk or something.
Oh yeah. I mean, I guess Star Tours is already kind of like the AT&T.
Yeah, that's true.
In Endor, not Kashyyyk, but it's like, you know, foresty area.
No, if I was realistically like put in the position to choose one, I'd probably choose Tatooine, because that's just the one that
everyone knows.
Everybody knows it. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so I don't really. They kind of shot themselves in the foot by they just assumed setting it in this like sequel trilogy era would work for them. They just assumed their movies were going to be amazing, which they're very controversial. So nah. But so they should have gone like the original trilogy direction, because everyone loves the OT. Like, no one has complaints about the original trilogy. They're a good set of movies. But yeah, it's frustrating.
Yeah, there are just so many reasons that this could have been. Like, I even have a couple more listed here. Like, I think a big reason is that the last two movies were super controversial. Nobody liked Solo for the most part. Like,
I mean, it wasn't that people didn't like Solo. I mean, some people didn't, but it was mostly just it just did bad in the box office.
Yeah.
And people just didn't see it. Like that was the issue.
Yeah.
I think most people that watch Solo typically enjoy it. Like for the most part. I know there's a good amount of people that actually didn't like it, which is fine.
But even then, when they saw it, like the OT crowd was like, "This is stupid.
Exactly.
Why are you explaining why Han Solo's last name is Solo? That's stupid." Like,
no, exactly.
There doesn't need to be a reason for everything. So
Yeah,
I feel like it's
not a perfect movie.
it still brings in complaints and like causes splittage from the crowds, you know.
Yeah.
So I think Star Wars movies at least are just kind of scarred right now, and they need to sit back and recover.
Yeah, I think that's their current plan. There's not going to be another Star Wars movie for a good while.
Yeah,
I'd say. So
I think that might be the best course of option for them.
Yeah, they went in too fast.
But Disney's also been doing like a lot of things to prevent crowds from getting there.
They upped all the annual pass holder prices.
Yeah.
Did they up like just typical 1-day passes too? I imagine they did.
I'm not sure how much they did for Disneyland, but yeah, I'm pretty sure everything went up at least a little bit.
Yeah.
And I mean, everything costs so much.
Yeah, I mean the droids are like $100, lightsabers are $200, and apparently they're breaking on people.
Yeah,
the day they buy them.
I've heard
like these $200 lightsabers shouldn't be breaking the day. You can buy Ultra Sabers, a different brand. Like it's like a lightsaber theme, or it's like they're lightsabers, but they're well made. It's like a site, ultrasabers.com or something like that.
Yeah,
and they're really good quality, and they are not $200. They're not nearly that much, and that's what people are saying you should be going for. If I'm spending $200 for a lightsaber, I'm doing it for the experience, not for the actual lightsaber, because obviously it's garbage. It's breaking on people.
Yeah, it's definitely like not as high of material as you would expect for $200. Like it's gonna be good, but it's not gonna be like $200 worth.
Yeah,
I've also heard with that it's basically $200 deposit for a reservation, and if you don't go,
really?
you don't get it.
Oh my gosh,
that's what I've heard.
That's
I don't,
crazy.
I don't know if that's true or not. That's
Yeah.
just what I heard. So
Oh, man.
if that's true, then I don't know. That's rough. But,
Yeah.
You know.
No, they're kind of going for this weird. I mean, it's cool, but they're going for this weird like role play world where you're immersed. You're in Star Wars when you go to Galaxy's Edge. You know, it's not a theme park. You're there, and people are gonna talk to you like you're in Star Wars. You're gonna get off the Millennium Falcon, and people are gonna be talking to you in the cantina, being like, "Wow, I heard about you. You did the Smuggler's Run or whatever it is," and like it's supposed to be cool or whatever. And I think they shouldn't have done that. Like I think they could have just done a normal theme park and it would have been fine. But instead they did this, and they're doing it kind of wrong. Right now you can buy Star Wars clothes, you can buy Jedi robes, you can buy Imperial officer outfits, and you're not allowed to wear them in park if you're over the age of 14, because safety reasons. Like that makes sense. But you're going for this weird role play aesthetic and telling people they can't dress like they're in Star Wars.
Yeah.
And then you're selling them broken lightsabers and broken droids and like for $300. Are the droids having issues? Droids are probably fine. I haven't heard
anything about the droids.
The droids are probably okay, but they're still $100 for an RC car, essentially.
Yeah, I think it's definitely, if you want to do it, you're doing it for the experience, not necessarily the quality of lightsaber.
Yeah,
because like you said, the Ultra Saber I've heard great things about. So if you're wanting a really good lightsaber, maybe go with them instead.
Yeah, but you don't get that experience of building the lightsaber, which is what you're paying $200 for at Disney World.
Yeah, I'm super curious, like what exactly that is too.
It's like a 20-minute experience where you're building. Like, I mean, I don't know a whole lot about it because when I do it, I want to go in for the most part pretty blind when I do Galaxy's Edge. You know, I'm trying to keep myself like not too knowledgeable about the place. I don't want to go to Galaxy's Edge and be like, oh, I remember that from YouTube. You know,
yeah.
So I'm going in pretty blind. But yeah, essentially it's just a 20-minute experience. You hear Force Ghost talking to you and explaining what you're doing in the process and what each part means and does for the lightsaber. Sounds super cool for like a Star Wars fan like me. So
yeah,
we'll see.
I see, when I think about it, I'm just like, you go into a room, there's a bunch of parts, and you're building a lightsaber like you do now, and then maybe Yoda says something. Like I don't.
Oh yeah.
Or like maybe if you want to like analyze each part, but you only get 20 minutes, so it's like you gotta go.
Right. Yeah.
It's like
I'm curious about it. At this point, I'm debating whether I should even do it right away. Like I want to, but I don't want to have a broken lightsaber at the end of the day either. Especially for $200. That's a lot, and that's probably why people aren't showing up. Is because everything's so expensive.
yeah, I mean, also they did like announce other attractions too to like dissuade people from going. Like they did soar over California instead.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think they had like Filler Magic go to Disneyland.
Yeah, they did. But that's another thing is Rise of Resistance isn't open. People are gonna wait another year and be like, why would I go to Galaxy's Edge? This is probably gonna be the one time in my life I'm going to Disney World. I should go when everything's actually open. Wait until it's finished.
Exactly.
So like that's really weird too.
I guess what we're saying is if you want to go to Galaxy's Edge, go right now.
Yeah. I mean, I want to drive over to California. I'm getting impatient. I do want to see it for myself.
Yeah, we don't have that much to wait here.
Oh, dude, yeah, we have like just a little over a month, right? Something like that.
Pretty exciting.
Getting there. Anyway, are we done with Galaxy's Edge or any other thoughts on that?
I don't think so. I don't think I have anything else.
Okay.
The next topic is they announced a new parade for Disneyland. It's called Disneyland's Mickey and Friends Fantastic Cavalcade. And
I love their names, dude. They have such funny names.
Basically, what this sounds like to me is it's just a parade with a bunch of characters. They say here that it could include Peter Pan, Captain Hook, Genie, Aladdin, King Louie, Turk, Marie, and more.
Marie, the one with the baguettes from Beauty and the Beast.
No, that's the cat from Aristocats.
Oh, really? That's a B list right there. Weird. I mean, I'm over here thinking of the C-lister Marie with the baguettes.
I'd kind of rather meet Marie with the baguettes. But this parade's kind of interesting because it sounds like they're like rotating characters, so you never know which characters are gonna be in it.
Kind of like Long Lost Friends here in Disney World.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know if they're anything quite like that. They're probably just more normal characters, but they get rotated out. So you might not see Genie. You might see Genie. It might be somebody else instead. Mm-hmm. So
okay.
But yeah, that's happening July 18th through August 1st, and I think that's fascinating because so when Disneyland would announce things like this, I would normally be like, "Oh, that's to dissuade people from going to Galaxy's Edge." Yeah. Now this thing's announced, and I'm like, "Oh, this is trying to get people to come back to the parks." And
why is it only like 2 weeks?
That's what I'm saying. So like, it just feels like Disneyland's so quiet right now. They're like, we need to throw something out there to get people to come back. Yeah. And that's this parade that just sounds like it's just basically a bunch of characters. So they don't need to like invest that much, time and effort into it. I mean, maybe there's like a ton of floats and I'm like totally wrong, but I would think if they put a lot of effort into the parade, it would last longer than 2 weeks. Yeah,
it can't be too much of an effort of a parade if it's only 2 weeks. That takes, if you put enough effort in parade that, like, honestly, this tells me that Disney isn't very confident in this parade. Like, is it really worth seeing if they're going to be like, if they made this parade for 2 weeks? If they were proud of it, it would be around for at least a couple of months. Like, is it literally, do they have floats? Is it just characters?
I think there's probably a couple floats, but I don't know. It's
weird,
interesting.
Dude. Yeah, we'll see. Going back to the Galaxy's Edge, though, I meant to ask you something. What does this mean for Disney World's Galaxy Edge? Because I really wanted to ask you that. I totally forgot.
So, actually, there's another thing I wanted to say about Galaxy's Edge. Is another huge reason I think it's doing so poorly is because there was a lot of blackout dates for annual passes.
Oh, and right there?
Disneyland is like really huge with annual passes. You don't get a lot of like tourists coming. I mean, you get a lot, but like most of it's like residential people. They live in California. They have annual passes. So when everything's blocked out, they're not going to come. So
Yeah.
they've lifted that now. All the cast members can go and everything. So
That's good.
I actually think Disney World's going to be a lot more busy than Disneyland is.
I'm kind of, just because they're not as pass holder heavy. There's a lot of pass holders here, though.
Yeah,
So,
but I feel like there are like
it's more of a tourist
it's
thing here.
more touristy. Okay. I feel like I think we're just typically busier too than Disneyland is. But
because something I've been saying for a while for Disney World is, or why before all this happened, I was kind of saying, well, Disney World's Galaxy Edge probably won't be as busy as Disneyland's because Disneyland's open first. For the Star Wars fans that really want to go, they would have gone by now. Are there any people that are like that really want to go to Galaxy's Edge? Did they really just purposely wait until Disneyland or Disney World opened first so they could go to Disney World instead? I mean, if Galaxy's Edge was the reason you wanted to go to Disney parks, you would have gone by now.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. I could see like families having to wait. Like I don't know.
Are you saying families would rather go to Disney World instead of Disneyland, or?
I don't know. I feel like Disney World's just more of a tourist spot, so a lot of families would rather go here. But I agree. Like, if you're a really big Star Wars fan and you have the means to, you probably went to Disneyland already.
And I'm not gonna lie, if I'm from Kentucky or Nebraska or whatever, I've never been to either of these parks, and I have a family and I want to go to Galaxy's Edge someday. Disney just announced the opening dates for Rise of Resistance for both places. I'm going to just wait until after January and go to either or, you know? So I don't know how busy Disney World's actually going to be. I mean, if half the rides aren't going to be running like Disneyland, maybe they're going to have the same issue. Because December isn't that far away, especially for families planning vacations,
No, it's not. Yeah.
I'm super curious what's going to happen. Like, I would love it if it was dead here. I'd be stoked. After years of all these Florida natives just telling each other how crazy Galaxy's Edge is going to be and how the traffic's going to be horrible and how Disney World isn't going to be a fun place to be, it's going to be awesome whenever it's just going to be completely dead. So
I guess part of me sees Hagrid's roller coaster ride being such a high wait time, and I'm like, yeah, it's probably going to be pretty high here. I get that the Hagrid's ride had a lot of difficulties too.
They opened a broken ride in Universal Studios. That ride is broken every single day, every day. On top of that, it's a roller coaster outside, so it's constantly going down because of weather issues, and then it's constantly then it's just having issues because it's breaking down and it's a slow loading ride. Like, roller coasters aren't as fast as a motion simulator like Smuggler's Run would be. I think Smuggler's Run is going to surprise us with how fast the loading is going to be, because unless it's like Flight of Passage or Soarin', where it's all one screen, you gotta make sure everyone in these like dozens of seats are sitting down and they're good and strapped in. I think it's going to be good if it's just like Star Tours.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair.
Because part of the reason for Flight of Passage too is so many people have troubles with the seats. That's a big reason why the wait time's so long. Yeah, is because you get this really heavy guy who thinks he can get on, waited 4 hours, gets to the seat and can't fit. He's throwing a hissy fit now because he waited for so long and he can't ride his ride. So it's causing everyone else to wait another 10-15 minutes. Repeat that for every single time that line gets loaded. You end up with wait times that are at least 180 minutes every day at Flight of Passage.
Yeah, no, that's true. I never really thought about it, but yeah.
Yeah, so Flight of Passage isn't a very ideal ride for short wait times. But I think Smuggler's Run is going to be handled a lot better. So I'm going to be curious when we see Flight of Passage still at 210 minutes every day when Galaxy's Edge opens, and Smuggler's Run is going to be 45-60 because it's an easier loading ride. Like, I'm really curious what's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I'm excited. Anyway, we can stop talking about Galaxy's Edge. We're like 40 minutes in. We've only talked about that.
Yeah, we better move on here. Well, now we're just moving on to Disney World news here.
Okay.
We've already been talking about Disney World.
Yeah.
This was announced a little while ago, but I feel like it's a really huge thing that we need to talk about. And it's basically that Epcot's Future World is getting demolished.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like everything is leaving. So you have Electric Umbrella closing November 23rd, Fountain View or Starbucks closing November 23rd. Then you have Club Cool, Character Spot, Innovations, Fountain of Nations all closing September 8th.
The Club Cool is coming back though, right? I
don't
heard
know.
that it's not completely. I mean, they're just gonna move it somewhere else.
I think it's basically closing, but they plan on bringing it back someday. But there's not really any like word on that,
Right.
as far as I'm aware.
Gotcha.
You also have Penn Central moving to the Camera Center, Art of Disney moving to Heritage Manor in the American Pavilion, and then I heard Mouse Gear is also closing. So
Which that shocks me, but I guess at that point they're destroying everything. They might as well. I never really liked the aesthetic of Mouse Gear anyway, so this is probably a good thing. I didn't really like the aesthetic of Future World as a whole anyway, so this is great.
yeah, the only thing I'm sad about is the Fountain of Nations.
Sure.
I don't know what exactly they're doing with all of that, but yeah, pretty bummed that that's going away.
Yeah.
It was just like a cool aesthetic. Their little shows every 10-15 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just nice.
They're probably going to change the entire soundtrack of Future World after this, I imagine.
Probably.
It's a bummer. I'd say Future World soundtrack is the best in Disney World.
Yeah, it's definitely gives me
It's the most
nostalgic
memorable.
feels.
Yeah. That or Main Street. But
Yeah.
Future World has the most nostalgic feelings for me. Like, I just remember. Like, it's like the same music that's been for like the last 20 years. Like,
For real though.
so that's probably good. It's all stuff that's been... It's getting pretty dated.
Most of this stuff, I'm like, yeah, good. Get rid of it. Electric Umbrella can go. Fountain View, I don't care. Club Cool, I mean, I'm sad about Club Cool, but if they're bringing it back someday,
it's gonna come back. I'm not too concerned.
You know.
And Epcot's always been probably like my second favorite park overall. It's always been like that number 2 spot.
Mm-hmm.
I've also always said that one day Future World could just implode on itself and it'd still be my number 2 favorite, because I go to Epcot for World Showcase. That's my favorite part about Epcot. I mean, obviously you got Soarin' and stuff, but I don't like Test Track. Like, it's like my most unpopular Disney opinion, I'm pretty sure. I think it's a bad ride. So like, I don't like that ride. I don't care for Mission Space as much as I used to. The only ride in Future World I like is Soarin'. So I mean, I'm fine with it just kind of going through this process, especially if it makes World Showcase quieter for me.
Yeah, no, for sure. I part of me is like, should they like do this like one step at a time? Should be close Club Cool, finish that, then close Innovations, finish that, or should they just demolish everything, build it back up, and be done with it in a year?
I like the idea that just take care of it.
I do too.
Don't like tiptoe around all these issues. Just take care of it. I like the way they're going with this.
I do too. That's definitely my opinion, because I don't know. I haven't been here for that long, and I'm sick of construction. So
yeah, just get it over with. I mean,
yeah,
no one likes construction, I know, but just destroy it and rebuild it.
Everything's gonna be so cool now with everything changing.
Nothing's ever gonna be finished.
Yeah, it's true.
Anyway,
but yeah, moving on.
Yeah.
We have transportation news. It's really exciting for me. I'm really excited about it.
My favorite part.
So basically, Disney World buses are getting a refurbishment. They're going to change these basically completely for the most part. The outside aesthetic is going to be totally different. It's going to feature the Sensational Six. I've never heard them called that before.
That must be new. It's always been Fab Five: Mickey, Minnie, Donald, Goofy, and Pluto.
Yeah.
But the Sensational Six must be all that plus Daisy, huh?
Yeah, it's Daisy.
I guess they've just felt bad for Daisy.
I like it better than Fab Five plus Daisy. So.
Yeah. I mean, they've included Daisy in all this stuff anyway, so might as well just... I don't like Daisy, but she has potential as a character. She could be better. I want her to do her right, but they won't. I've never liked Daisy.
Yeah, she's kind of there.
Yeah. So in other words, when the Daisy bus rolls around, I'm gonna wait, wait for the next one.
But yeah, these buses look fun.
I've only seen the outside. I want to get on one. Are they out now?
See, that's what I'm not
I've
sure of.
still not seen one, and
See,
I've driven through property a lot in the last week.
my understanding is that they were out now, but I have yet to see one either, and I've been driving around there quite a bit. So
That's
they must
weird.
not be.
Where are they? Like,
yeah, they must not be. But these buses seem pretty nice. They have new blue seats and laminate floors, and they also have USB charging ports
People are
on
gonna like that.
select buses.
Select buses, not all the Sensational Six buses.
No, I don't know.
Oh, okay.
It just says select buses
like-
include USB charging.
Only on the Daisy bus.
Only.
No!
Yeah. So I don't know. I think they look fun. You
Yeah,
know,
they look
a little.
super fun. I want to get on one real bad.
They look less professional, more fun. So
Yeah, which
I'm
is
down.
what you should go for in
Yeah.
Disney World. Am I right?
But I mean, even speaking of transportation, Monorail Silver also got an update, and this is the one I'm like super stoked about.
I never even heard this until you mentioned it in this in the notes. When did this happen? They just
so it's just Monorail Silver, and they just seem like they just kind of
overnight
sneakily
just kind of like
just did
changed
this.
it. Oh my gosh!
I don't
dude.
think there was like an announcement or anything. As far as I'm aware.
So like they cleaned it up. It looks and smells nice now. What like?
Yeah, so it basically has new wall carpet, which with like Monorail Silver on it,
Which
and like
the wall carpet has been the grossest part of the monorails for a while now.
I know the seat cushion color now matches the monorail as well, so it's just silver.
That's cute.
Assuming
so you'll get like green seats, like in monorail green or something like that.
Assuming, unless they're all just silver now.
It just so happened they picked silver for that. Okay,
which could be. So hopefully they continue and do this for the rest of them. I don't see why they wouldn't.
They should. I've been waiting to fix the monorails for a long time.
Like if
I
you're
don't
not
know why
going to
it's taking so
rehaul
long.
them, refurb them.
Yeah, and that's fine as long as you fix them though. Like I'd rather just brand new monorails, but they've taken so long. I'll take what I can get, and I don't know why it's taking them so long just to do this. As long as they work, I'm fine with it though. Like I just want a monorail that's not gonna fall apart and kill someone, and smells nice on the inside.
No, exactly. Well, that's all we got for news.
Dang, dude.
Yeah.
That's how long did that took? A while.
42 minutes.
Yeah, that was probably our heaviest news. We'll see how fast we can get through our next bit then.
Yeah.
Time for fun.
All right. So now we're gonna go into our top 5 storylines for attractions.
Mm-hmm. So storyline. What was your definition of storylines going into this? Because we didn't really like discuss what this meant. I just kind of texted him one day and was like, "Hey, we should do top 5 stories and rides, or rides and attractions or whatever." And Kyle was just like, "Okay." So we never really like set boundaries. Like, are you doing just Disney World? You have Disneyland too?
I'm like all over the place.
That's good because I forgot about Disneyland, and I think if I realized it, I would have changed some of my choices. So, but sure. I already wrote down my Disney World top 5. So, this is Derek's top 5 Disney World stories and Kyle's top 5 anything.
Yeah, kind of whatever.
Yeah.
Whichever park you want to choose.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay, well, you want to go first? Your number 5?
Yeah, sure. I mean, the storyline thing, I just...
Oh, we still didn't even discuss that.
Yeah, I mean...
Let's specify that, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have, like, too much of a description for it. I was just like, which ride do I think has a good, like, beginning and end?
Yeah.
And, like, a good plot, basically, for it.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't, like, thinking of, like, complications and stuff like that. I was more just like...
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, you can go ahead and go first. Do your number 5. And we'll do this like we normally do our top 5s, where if your top 5 is my number 2, I'll mention that. So we're not just retreading things I picked already.
Yeah.
All right, go for it.
All right. So my number 5 is the Enchanted Tiki Room.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I just always really liked the idea of the Enchanted Tiki Room. Like, it's just a hut, and the birds are singing, the plants croon, whatever. And I also just really like that you get yelled at by the gods because you're celebrating too hard.
Yeah.
I just really enjoy that.
Oh, that's great.
The entire thing. So, you get in there, you're partying, you're having a great time. Then you have like this middle section where everything kind of gets dark and there's all this like chanting and drumming, and you feel cool, but you feel a little scared at the same time. And then you anger the gods, and it's just like, I don't know. I just like it.
That's cool. I didn't think of Tiki Room for a choice.
Yeah, it was kind of a weird like storyline choice, but
it's good though. I get what you're going for, so that's cool.
Yeah.
All right.
What was your 5?
My number 5, I actually picked a kind of a weird one for my number 5. I picked Sorcerers of the Magic Kingdom, the card game of Magic Kingdom. So I'm a sucker for crossovers. I love crossovers. Part of the reason why I love like the MCU so much, why I love Kingdom Hearts so much, why I love Marvel vs. Capcom so much. I just think it's cool seeing different characters interact with each other. So you kind of get that when you do Sorcerers of Magic Kingdom. You see a lot of Hades talking to other villains and planning and scheming, and what those villains react to that planning and scheming. So it's a Disney story. It's not super deep or anything, but it's kind of cool. Like I like seeing that side of these villains and things like that. It's probably the reason why it's my number 5, like bottom of the top, is it doesn't really tell that coherent of a story, you know? Like it's not like a really engaging plot, you know? It's a Disney story.
Yeah.
But I like the interactions that the characters give off. I like seeing Merlin from Sword of the Stone training you to be a hero against Hades, Lord of the Underworld. Like, that's cool. So I think it's a lot of fun. Still haven't completely beaten it. So
yeah, I don't either.
Yeah, I played a good portion of it, but you need to sink so much time into it. Like, especially for people that don't live here, I would never advise them to play this game because you're spending a good portion of your day playing a card game when you could be doing rides. So, like,
yeah,
I enjoy it, but that's because I'm a pass holder and live here. So
I mean, I have quite a few of the cards, and I've played.
Me too, yeah.
I've played most of the missions, but
yeah, I've played a good portion of them. I just haven't beaten all of them in one setting because that's what you need to do. You need to actually do one count. I don't know if there's an actual ending or not. I've never beaten all of them.
I think there is.
So there is. I should try it, dude.
Yeah, I've like seen somebody at the ending.
Really?
It,
oh,
but
cool.
like I haven't actually done it.
That's cool. I need to just suck it up and just spend an entire day there one time and just like beat it, you know?
Yeah,
that'd be fun.
Yeah,
I'm gonna do that someday. Anyway, you can go for your number 4.
We'll dedicate a day trip for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Next day off we have together, which is
never.
All right, so my next one, I was saying how I was like researching a ride a little bit, and that was Journey into Imagination.
Okay.
I think this ride has had
Journey into Imagination. You talking about like the current one we have or the original?
I'm kind of more talking about the original.
That's interesting. I almost put that in my top 5.
Oh, really?
The original. Like I was gonna like specify too. Like
yeah, I mean I watched a couple videos like the Funkland and Yesterworld's videos on
those
it.
Guys.
Go check them out. They're awesome.
Yeah, I watch them all the time.
But I watched the one on the Journey into Imagination. It's really interesting, like how much difficulties they had with updating this ride. Like when they first updated it from the original attraction to the second version of it, they were sponsored by Kodak, and Kodak at this time couldn't fill in their contractual obligations because digital media was just like booming. So their stock and everything just went plummeting down.
Right.
And then the next time they tried to update it, which is the one we currently have, they 9/11 happened. So then
bummer.
Attendance was like crazy low. So I just think it's pretty interesting. Go watch those videos if you're interested, because it's kind of interesting. But the original Figment with Dreamfinder is really cool. I really like the idea of Figment with like a responsible person, quote unquote.
Figment isn't a good main character.
Yeah, and I think that's what the one we have right now struggles with. Is it almost feels like you're being lectured in a way. Like I feel like you're kind of put in like Nigel Channing's shoes, when you're riding the ride, but you're not really, but it feels like that. It feels like Figment's trying to explain to you, the idiot, how to imagine things.
Yeah.
So, and I still like the ride. I enjoy it, but I think the original kind of embraced this more like imagination is freeing, like you can imagine whatever you want and it's fun. And then Figment portrayed this kind of childlike innocence in the ride, so it's like you felt like you maybe related more to the Dreamfinder, but then the fun was had with Figment when he's like spouting all these crazy things and he's super excited about it. And Dreamfinder kind of has to calm down and stuff because he's too excited. And you like feel excited about it. You're excited to imagine things.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Like, you got me excited wanting to ride this ride, and I can't.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I appreciate Nigel Channing's moon at the end of the ride,
the best part,
and how happy he is, I don't like the original. Just seems so much better. And like, to preface this, I've never ridden the ride.
Me neither. Yeah.
So I watched a ride through on YouTube before this episode, but never actually ridden it. But I like the storyline.
I'm excited for VR to be super accessible to everyone, and then we can just like watch all these like 360 ride throughs of all Disney rides like one day.
That would be nice. But yeah, that's my number 4. The original Figment with Dreamfinder.
Cool. My number 4 was I put down Tower of Terror, which I feel like is a pretty safe pick. I feel like that would be in a lot of people's top 5s.
Yeah.
Did you have it anywhere?
It is my number 2.
Okay, yeah. Like I figured it was probably in yours somewhere. It was either this or Haunted Mansion. I thought about putting both in, but I decided not to. I decided just Tower of Terror was fine, and I prefer Tower of Terror's like plot, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
Better. So, just the idea of this scary hotel in this, the MGM Studios when it originally opened was very cool. This Hollywood Tower hotel, like that's super cool. Very aesthetically pleasing for like the location and time period they're going for, which I think was super neat. And it still works. I mean, even though Hollywood Studios is anything but nowadays, it seems like you're still on Sunset Boulevard, and you still have that feeling when you go walking up to it. And then on top of that, the queue line just tells such a good story. You can tell exactly, or you can't tell exactly what's going on, but something went down in this abandoned hotel. All this stuff is still here. They didn't do a good job clearing it out. Where is everyone? And then you find out what happened in the next room in the pre-show, and that kind of amps you up for the actual ride itself, which continues the story, and you start seeing the ghosts of the past people that were on this elevator. So I feel like it just provides such a good story. One of the best in Disney parks, I feel.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was I really enjoy the story it tells.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's my number 2, so I really enjoyed it as well. I like the idea that you're kind of put into the shoes of a Twilight Zone episode. That's really cool. Yeah. And you feel like you are in an episode. Like
they brought back what was the guy's name again? The narrator. Missing his name.
Rod Sterling.
Yeah, I was missing his name for some reason. They somehow brought him back to the dead to narrate an episode that you're living. They just recut old footage that they had used prior, and then redubbed him with a voice actor. Super cool. That was just super smart to do, because that really puts you into this TV show feel that you're in the Twilight Zone.
Yeah. No, I think it's extremely immersive. Great idea. I was sort of sad when the Disneyland had it changed to Guardians. I really like that ride now, but I'll be devastated if this one changes. Although I do think I would like it still if it changed, but I'll be sad to lose this one.
I'm sure I'd be fine. I was never too upset that they changed it, because we still had one somewhere,
And for all intents and purposes, ours is better.
Yeah.
From what I've heard. I've never ridden the Disneyland version. But
the Disney Tower of Terror, you mean?
Yeah, the Tower of Terror. But I've heard the Walt Disney World version was just kind of a better version.
Yeah, I've always
overall.
heard that too. Yeah. So as long as Tower of Terror is somewhere, like I'd be fine. Like I would have been pretty devastated if they decided to change both of them, both Disneyland and Disney Worlds to Guardians of the Galaxy. I do like the Guardians of the Galaxy one a lot, but the Tower of Terror is really cool. You know, it's so well done. It'd be sad to lose that.
Yeah. Plus, if they changed our Tower of Terror, then the theming's gonna be all
Way
over
off.
the place.
Yeah.
I know, more than it already is.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they change it to something someday though, because I know they do have issues. Disney doesn't own the Twilight Zone, and the fact that it's back on whatever station it is, I don't even know. The fact that it's back somewhere, maybe those people are gonna ask Disney for more money to keep that IP, and Disney's gonna be like, "Whoa,
Yeah.
stay in your track, buddy."
Yeah.
You know,
True.
and they'll just say, I guess we'll just do something else. But I think Disney wants it too. I think Disney does like keeping the Twilight Zone. So I hope there's a good mutual agreement and no one's trying to, you know, screw each other out of something. I hope they just keep paying each other money and they're fine with where it's at.
Yeah, I don't think there's any reason to change it anyway. Like, I think it's still popular, and I think Hollywood's done with their construction after Guardians for a while.
I'm sure
They're
I'd
moving
be
on to
shocked
Epcot.
I'd be shocked if if Hollywood Studios
All of a sudden,
proceeded to take down another ride after being in construction for so long. Like,
that'd be crazy.
yeah. So anyway, you want to go with your number 4? Did you say your number 4?
Number 3.
Yeah, number 3. Sorry, it gets so confusing when we have
Yeah.
to like
Yeah.
jump around so much. Yeah.
So my number 3 is Haunted Mansion.
Okay,
I did agree with you though. I was like,
I almost
was-
put both on there.
Yeah,
it was super close.
I wanted to put Haunted Mansion and Tower, but I was like, it's kind of, they're kind of samey. So, I mean, just in the sense that they're both scary, you know.
Yeah. A lot of people rope them together when talking about Disney rides. So
Yeah, they both have great theming. They're both scary. Like,
yeah.
But yeah, Haunted Mansion I just think is a great story, great, super immersive. Like you were saying with the queue, like you're walking through the queue, you feel like you're in this creepy area. You know, there are spirits around doing things or messing with you, or as like the bookshelf and the queue and whatnot.
Yeah.
I mean, in the story just gets started right away, like in the pre-show. You know, like you're immediately introduced to this ride, and you're like completely trapped in this room in the pre-show, right?
Yeah.
And you get the narrator. I can't remember his name.
The host. Ghost host.
Yeah. Doesn't he have a name that's like Gracie or something?
Oh really? I've always called him the ghost host.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just making that up. But yeah, I mean, you get introduced to him. You move on. He's your buddy for the rest of the ride, and I just think it flows so nice with the entire story. He tells you about the mansion. He wants you to be there. You know,
He's a good guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I just really like it. I think it's pretty cool and immersive. So
That's cool. Yeah, I was super close to picking that, but I just decided to keep one scary ride in my list. But it was super close to having both of them on there. I probably would have. Yeah, I would have put Tower of Terror above it though, me personally, which I know you did too with it being at your number 2. But yeah. Anyway, my number 3.
yeah.
So my number 3, I picked Expedition Everest.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so that's another. It doesn't explicitly tell you the story. I like that you're figuring it out for yourself. You kind of, especially when going through the queue, and you're seeing all these idols and these footprints and these, you know, skeletons and like recreations, and you're kind of like, you're kind of like seeing this like, yeah, this mountain's pretty dangerous. Like there might be something up there. And then you're going up, you go like up the mountain, and you're going through this temple, and this guy is worshipped by some people, you know? This guy was a scary dude.
Yeah.
And you get up to the top, the tracks are busted. Like it tells such a cool story where you're figuring it out for yourself, you know? You feel like you're an explorer going up this mountain, you know? And so up until the point where you see this Yeti, all of a sudden when you see this Yeti, it's like it's the Yeti, you know? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
like all of a sudden you're seeing this mystical being that you've been seeing clues of for the last like 20 30 minutes, waiting in line, getting on the ride, going up the mountain. You see him, and he is just not moving.
But he feels like it.
But
with
he feels
the
like
flashes.
it because there's disco lights. So, no, but seriously, that would be cool if he was moving. That would really seal the deal of what I'm trying to say. But yeah, pretend he's moving. Pretend the lights are actually doing something, and it's really scary. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm convinced. I didn't even think about Expedition Everest, but
Yeah, my some of my favorite storylines in Disney World, they might not all be on this list. I like a lot of them, but some of my favorites are stories that you're figuring it out for yourself. You know? I like it when they don't explicitly tell you what's going on and what you should expect. I like the idea that you gotta kind of look at what's going on in the queue. Look at your surroundings. See how many, like, what is this Yeti doing with all these hair bands at the top of the summit?
oh my god.
No, that's a story I need to find out about.
Maybe that'll be a YouTube video we make.
Yeah, what's up with the hair bands at the top of Mount Everest?
We should have like a ton of theories about it.
Yeah.
What could a Yeti use?
What does one Yeti need all these hair bands for? Okay, anyway, that was Everest. Any other thoughts on that, or should we go to your...
you convinced me.
Okay,
it's a good story. I didn't think about it, but I'm convinced. Think for yourself.
Yeah.
Don't be told.
Anyway, we did your number 2, so we're going to my number 2 now. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, my number 2. And this kind of speaks a lot for Animal Kingdom and how good a job they do, is Flight of Passage.
I thought
you think you're gonna say dinosaur? I was hoping you were gonna think that. Yeah, I think Flight of Passage. I'm not a huge Avatar fan. I honestly kind of hate the movie, but I think Flight of Passage tells kind of a cool story, and I like the idea that you're going through this rite of passage that these people go through. I don't know. It just feels kind of cool. That's definitely not like. It just feels very immersive. So this one's kind of unique from all the other points I made, where this one's just very like. It does a good job of making you feel like you're there. You know, with how they do the screen, how they do the dragon or the banshee breathing, how it moves. It just feels like you're going through this process. It almost feels like. It's gonna sound silly, but it almost feels like you don't have any right to be partaking in this ritual that these other people, you know, are going through, and it feels that way because they do it so well. It feels like you're there. So I feel like it just kind of I don't know, it just makes you feel good that you're partaking in this like ritual, and like you gotta understand like what this ritual means for these people, and you gotta think about what that means for yourself. And I think if you just put a lot of thought into it, it can make you think some feelings. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if I'm conveying my point very well.
Yeah,
but,
no.
Okay, cool.
I mean, I think it's like pretty beautiful for like how they like created this world, and they set you up so well for the attraction too.
Yeah,
like
it's not even just the attraction. It's like the entire world of Pandora leading into Flight of Passage does everything for the story, you know?
Yeah, you walk in and you're like, wow, this is cool. There's floating islands, you know? And you go in farther, you see all the like scientific stuff, the laboratories.
Yeah,
and
exactly. The queue line does it a lot too. So
they're creating avatars for you to link into. I mean, even in the next room, you see all the different avatars being linked, and then you yourself become linked to an avatar, which is fun, especially the first time you go into it. You're like, whoa. That looks nothing like me, but it's cool anyway.
Yeah, I feel like you're like proving your point better than I did. I was kind of
No, I mean,
okay. I'm glad you got what I was saying. But yeah, I totally agree with like the queue line is great. The actual world of Pandora is awesome. Just for Flight of Passage, just leading into this ride, it all does so many things for you and what to expect.
yeah, for sure. It's cool.
Yeah, for sure.
And this is coming from two non-Avatar.
Yeah,
fans,
I don't like the movie. I like the theme. I don't know. I feel like I don't know. The theme park's awesome. I don't care for the movie. I don't care for the sequels they're making either. Or I'm not excited for them anyway.
I already
know how bad they're gonna be. No, they're probably gonna be fine. I think they're gonna be better than the original. If I'm gonna be honest. I feel like now that they made a franchise and they have something to prove, I feel like they're gonna actually make a story that's more than just Pocahontas in space. So
in space.
Anyway, you want to do your number one?
Yeah, sure. So my number one is gonna be the Jungle Cruise.
Ooh, bias pick right there.
Bias pick. I kind of chose this one more so because it's implemented in so much of the parks as far as like Skipper Canteen and Trader Sam's goes.
Yeah, sure. It's
like every time I go into one of those restaurants, I'm like, this is so fun. Like I know this because of the attraction. So honestly, more of my pick is actually for Skipper Canteen and Trader Sam's, and I just wanted to kind of talk to you guys about the backstory of
yeah,
those.
That's fair that they all. I could see what you're saying. They're all interconnected.
Yeah, it's the Jungle Cruise Navigation Company or whatever. So the Jungle Cruise, you have Albert Falls. He's like the one that does the tours, right? He like sets up the tours and whatnot. If you go through the queue, you can see his office. He just stepped out for a little while. Mm-hmm. He's never there.
He's been gone for a while.
But in Skipper Canteen, the backstory of this restaurant is that it's Albert Falls' granddaughter, and she repurposed the company's like headquarters for like a restaurant for like additional revenue. So you get all these like skippers coming in to like help out. Mm-hmm. So you're still getting like the skipper kind of treatment where they'll make puns and jokes and whatnot, but it's all at a restaurant. And then Trader Sam's he's a head shrinker, and that led into his passion for mixology. So I don't know. It's just funny. Like he called on his friends at the navigational company, the Jungle Cruise, and now they're working for him at Trader Sam's. And I just think it's funny. I think it's cool that they all kind of coexist. And,
yeah. When will they make Trader Sam a meet and greet character? Wouldn't that be a great face character?
Man, I don't know.
Really?
I don't
think it'd be too creepy?
I think it might be too offensive now.
Really?
You think so?
Oh, you think it'd be offensive?
I feel like
maybe I don't have that right.
I feel like they've scooted by it a little bit so far, but I don't know. I could just see them being like
just that he's like I don't know what would you call him
like Aboriginal.
Aboriginal. That's the right word. Okay, like just
I could just see.
I don't know.
I could just see that being something that would be bad.
Okay, that's fair. Okay.
He may not be though. I don't really know.
Yeah, you have to be careful about those sort of things nowadays. So that's fair. I'll just keep dreaming that Dreamfinder will come back someday. Yeah, he's fine, right? Is he offensive?
No,
gingers.
No, he's good. I would watch like some promotional videos on Journey into Imagination, and Dreamfinder's so
isn't he awesome? He's great.
He just has little Figment by him, and he's like, "This is Figment."
Yeah,
He's
and Figment's super cute too. Figment is not a great main character. He's awesome if he's working off someone. Where in this new Figment ride, he's just like the main. He's front and center, and that's the issue.
Yeah, I mean, Figment with a sweater on.
Style.
It's great.
Swaggin'.
It's the best. All right, what's your number one, Derek?
Okay, my number one is Phantasmic. So going back to that crossover thing, I Fantasmic is my favorite show.
This is such a good pick.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit sad I
Are
didn't
ya?
pick it now.
I was wondering if it'd be in your top 5 or not.
It would have been if I thought about it.
Yeah, like I didn't know if like you would think, because it's like a show, so I didn't know if you would be thinking about shows.
I wasn't.
Like
But
I
that's
almost,
a great idea.
I thought about Filler Magic too.
I did
just,
too, actually.
Just solidifying my love of crossovers. But then I kind of thought like it doesn't really, like what kind of story does it have really? I mean it's just different Disney songs and Donald is there in the background, you know. But Fantasmic, I love the story it's telling. I mean, it's like Sorcerer's Magic Kingdom. It's not deep. It's not really.
That might have been my number 1 if I would have thought about it. Yeah.
That's funny.
I didn't even think about it for some reason.
It's not a very thought-provoking plot, but it's like it's fun. It's very Disney. You see all these characters interacting with each other that they don't normally interact. It's cool. It's got the best finale in anything Disney, in my opinion. So
Yeah. No, I totally
the
agree.
ending is such a good payoff for watching Mickey get tossed around by all these bad guys. Like
Yeah.
it's actually not a lot of bad guys. It's like 2 or 3, and a bunch of them are watching. But
Yeah, right.
Cruella de Vil, what are you even doing? You're just kind of laughing at him.
For real.
Yeah. Any thoughts on Fantasmic?
No, that's a great
Besides
idea.
regrets.
I have a lot of regrets now. No, Fantasmic's awesome. I love the idea that it's like dreams are like easy because it's like you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
But they do it so well on this show. Like Mickey's having a good dream. It's like all nice and everybody's happy, and then all of a sudden the villains come in and it takes over Mickey's dreams and Mickey has to fight them off. You know,
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's like he said, a big crossover. By the way, one of my favorite parts in this Fantasmic is, well, I have 2. I should tell you my 2. First one, I love this part. It's when the snake comes out and Mickey, like, don't look at the snake, just look at Mickey, because Mickey's doing the funniest things. He's like amping himself up so hard. Like he'll just be sitting there amping himself up, then he'll like start walking towards the snake, and then he sees him and he's like, oh no, I can't do this. And he walks back. It's so funny. There was this one time Mickey stood up, looked at him, and started going like this to him.
I think I was there.
Yeah, it was so funny. And also during the princess floats.
I was waiting for this one.
During the princess floats, Ariel's float and Eric's float, when the song goes, Dream of Fantastic, that's when Eric goes like this on his float. So just be ready for
It's
that.
a pretty big moment.
It's a pretty big moment. So every time you watch that show now,
I've never not looked at Eric ever since you told me.
that's the goal.
Ever since you told me about this moment, I always like just look at Eric at that moment. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like
Somebody told me that.
this is really
in 2015.
just this flourish, like this
Yeah.
flamboyant flourish, I guess.
Yeah.
It's just very funny looking.
Yeah.
And I've never been able to like look at anything else at that moment. So
Yeah, somebody told me about it in 2015, and every single time I've watched this show since, I've like always noticed it, and I always watch for it for some reason. I don't know why. So
it's funny.
we'll make it a thing. Everybody's
yeah.
gonna see Prince Eric go like this. Dream of Fantastic. Yeah,
All right. Well, do you have any honorable mentions?
I don't.
Okay. I have one. I know this is already going on for a little while, but
Yeah, it's
who
fine.
cares? It's our podcast.
Actually,
So
it's not that bad.
oh yeah, Is it
We're
fine?
a little long, but
Okay. So I made this an honorable mention because it not that great of a story, but I think it's interesting. It has no right being in any top 5 for storylines for attractions, but I put down Thunder Mountain because it does not have any sort of storyline, but has a lot of character, you know?
Yeah.
So that's kind of why I made it like an honorable mention. Like growing up, it's very mysterious in a way. You don't, nothing ever tells you what's going on. You kind of gotta like Nothing even gives you a good idea of what's going on, like Tower of Terror. You know,
I have no idea what goes on.
I don't either. I don't know if there's an actual official thing that's going on. So me as a kid going on that ride, I figured it out for myself. You know, it's Thunder Mountain's a blank canvas for your idea of what's going on. And is this railroad abandoned? Is it a ghost town? There's this town that's like underwater, but people are dancing in the second floor. You know?
Yes. Fair.
There's a dude sleeping in a bathtub. Why is he there? Like,
He's a goat with dynamite. I don't know.
What's going on in this place? So it doesn't have a story. Like, I thought even if it did, it wouldn't be a good one. but it's fun that you gotta figure it out for yourself. I made this idea of what this place is as a kid and figured out why we're going through this town. Why are the tracks blown up? What's this dude doing in a bathtub? So like, that's kind of why it's my honorable mention. Like I wanted to bring it up because I thought it was an interesting, because it doesn't have a storyline, but it has so much character that you can figure something out. And I think that's neat. Yeah. I like the idea of a blank canvas ride that you just got to make up the story in your head, you know?
Yeah. No, that's interesting. I didn't think about
Yeah, next time you go on Thunder Mountain, figure out what's going on. Like, look around, get a good idea. Like, make your own story.
Yeah.
And send a message to us so we can find out together.
Leave it in the comments down below.
Yeah. Anyway,
yeah.
That's all I got.
That's neat.
I was curious what you thought about that.
Yeah.
Sorry I didn't tell you to make an honorable mention. I just thought of it.
Oh, no, that's all good.
It had no spot. I there's no way I'd put that in like my number 5 and been like, so hear me out. Like, Thunder Mountain. No
storyline with no story.
Yeah. This is like, it was a point of interest. I feel like talk about.
There's got to be like some storyline.
There probably is. There's something, but it doesn't make sense if it does.
Yeah.
Is it a ghost town?
It doesn't tell you.
Why is this? Like, I'm gonna keep going back to this guy. Why is this dude in a bathtub in a ghost town? What's he doing?
What's he doing?
Yeah. Where are the people dancing upstairs? Are they ghosts? Or are they just dancing?
Yeah.
The town's flooded. All these buildings are getting destroyed, dude. Okay, sorry. I really wanted to talk about Thunder Mountain. And this is my only outlet for it. So.
Yeah. I wonder if like Disneyland's version might do a better job of explaining the story.
Well, Disneyland doesn't have a town like going flooding, right? There's an actual town.
There's a town, yeah.
But like that's like an actual town. That's not like people probably live here.
Yeah,
but like the town, the fact that the town is getting destroyed in our Thunder Mountain, like what's the story here? Like what's going on?
Yeah, I guess just a runaway train. I guess I don't know.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Where'd the water come from? Okay. Anyway.
Well, any theories about the dude in the bathtub, let us know.
Yeah. What's his name? He probably has a name. I'm going to look that up. Okay.
There's probably a pin of him somewhere.
I want that pin.
Or a plushie or something.
Yeah. Oh, that's creepy.
I'm pretty sure there's like a vinylmation of the goat.
Really? The best character?
But he's a little more iconic than the dude in the bathtub, so.
I don't know about that. All right.
Anything else?
I think I'm good.
All right. Well then, thank you guys for watching or listening if you're on the audio version. And as always, Kwaherini.